Amelia, just keep going. The people who fail are the people that quit. And if you're going to allow this to let you quit, then your heart really wasn't in it.
Welcome to Working Women Mentor, a podcast that empowers everyday women like you, like me, to share and learn from life's mentor moments. I am your host, Rani Alfers, and in each episode, you will meet inspiring women that understand the power of recognizing mentor moments and how those moments can change it all. These fabulous women are here and ready to share it all with you. So let's dive in.
Hey everyone, on today's episode of Working Women Mentor, we are talking tequila, soda, and lime. And everything Amelia Lettieri, the founder and CEO of Ranch 2.0 is working on, because she's working on a lot. She is fundraising for her company. She is growing her company. And she shares some wonderful tips about how her journey has been, how we can really do anything we want to. We just have to keep going. And the mentorship that has been involved in getting her to where she is incredible. So she's kind enough to be here today with us. I can't wait for you to meet Amelia, learn about her vision, her company, and all the mentor tips she has to share with us today. Amelia Lettieri, thank you so much for being here today with us on Working Women Mentor. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor.
Amelia, you're a lifesaver to the women out there listening who may enjoy from time to time a consistently and perfectly made cocktail on the fly. Will you expand on this market and what you're working on right now?
I'm the founder and CEO of Ranch 2.0 Spirits, which is a liquor-based canned cocktail company. We put true liquor, tequila, vodka, gin in our products. We have a ranch water, a cranberry vodka soda, a gin fizz, and a classic margarita. And really, they're just served in a 12-ounce can. It's quite the emerging segment of the market. People didn't used to do this, but I'm a busy person. I don't have time to make my own cocktails. So here we are, a couple of years later.
Here we are. You don't have time to squeeze your limes every time and get your Topo Chico out and muddle everything and strain it. Come on, Amelia.
No, and can I tell you too, I feel like this is often, I don't talk about this enough, but like if I buy Topo Chico, I get mad at my husband for drinking it. And I'm like, that is for my ranch water. And he in his mind is, no, it's for refreshment for me to drink. So I don't even have time to go to the store all the time to replenish the Topo Chico.
Yeah, that's so funny. I had some random generic soda in my refrigerator the other day. I was like, this will work. This will just have to do. I didn't even have a lime. So, okay, you are absolutely right. You're working in an emerging industry, this segment with everything on the go and pre-mixed cocktails. What was the inspiration for launching your own line?
I have a finance degree from Texas A&M, and I went to work for a private equity firm right out of college. We bought one of the nation's leading co-packers of beverages, and that was my primary portfolio account. And so they co-packed for Monster, Red Bull, Mike's Hard Lemonade. They had their own craft brand of beer. And it was just the coolest company. And I was working 100 hours a week looking around thinking, beverages are a pretty fun business. No one here looks as stressed as I am. So I did that for several years. And then I moved over to 7-Eleven corporate and I did mergers and acquisitions for them. But I also got to do a lot of other cool projects where I was helping more on the consumer facing side as well. So I saw the importance of giving products to people for convenience. And so then a couple years after that, and my family is from West Texas, so we've been drinking ranch waters forever. I thought that everyone knew what they were. But in early 2019, people in Dallas started to talk about them. And my neighbor actually texted and said, hey, do you have any limes? I want to make a ranch water. And, I was sitting there on the couch and I was like, oh, no, I don't, but I love ranch waters. And my husband said out loud, you think there'd be a pre-made ranch water like Bethenny Frankel's Skinny Margarita? And I did a quick Google search and I said, there was not one. There wasn't anything like it on the market. And so my husband stopped what he was doing and he turned to me and he said, you're going to do this. And I thought, oh, you're so funny. And he said, no, you've got the industry, you've got the mentorship, you've got the training. You're going to go create a canned cocktail line. So instantly I started calling the people who were my mentors in the industry saying, am I crazy? Should I do this? And they are all like, yes, you're crazy, but yes, you should do it. And White Claw and Truly were just starting to get popular at the time, but I knew I didn't want to have a seltzer. I didn't want to have a malt or wine-based beverage. I wanted to do a true liquor-based cocktail, something that I would actually drink. And so then from there, it just took off. And we spent 10 months formulating our products. We tried a lot of different tequila because, in my opinion, the tequila makes or breaks the drinks. So after 10 months, got all the formulas correct and then started fundraising. We set out to do our seed round in January of 2020, and I was halfway to my goal the first week of March. And then COVID happened, the markets crashed, and I quickly lost all of that initial funding.
I'm sure that was a big hit for you. With so much uncertainty in the market at the time, where did you go from there?
We all had to do shelter in place. So I spent just like a month kind of regrouping and talking to a lot of my mentors. And I had a really great friend who said to me, he graduated from Harvard and I worked with him. And he said, Amelia, just keep going. The people who fail are the people that quit. And if you're going to allow this to let you quit, then your heart really wasn't in it. So I took a month off and then I just got right back on, started having more calls. I did a lot of video calls with people and we actually ended up being oversubscribed. And I closed my round in July of 2020. So just a few months later than what I wanted.
Congratulations. Congratulations on that. Because without that, it's really hard to, I imagine, get it off the ground and start growing your company.
I did not have a trust fund. I didn't have any money helping with this. We'd been self-funding the company up until that point, but in order to just do our initial production, we needed money. And to get a distributor, we needed to show the distributor, hey, we have money to put behind the marketing efforts for this. So it would have been impossible had I not raised money.
So you're still in the fundraising phase right now. What is that like as an ongoing process for building your business?
I knew with the initial round, I'd have about a year of runway. And so I got there a year and a half, and then I went back out to raise our Series A. And that is a grind. Initially, I wasn't really running the company. We hadn't produced, we weren't on the market. But now we're on the market. We're in several markets. We're producing. And so fundraising is a full-time job. And so is running a company. You get told a lot of no. I hear no all the time. And there's sometimes when you start thinking, it's what I'm doing worth it. People are very vocal about why they're not going to invest and what they really think. And you start wondering, crap, like, am I really doing the right thing? I think I have a great product, but maybe it's not so great. So it's kind of this mind bend that you're constantly fighting as well.
And I'm curious how you walk away from that and then reset your button and then go back on that next phone call. I imagine you've learned so much on those objections and what people are thinking and why they didn't want to invest, and then how you can probably even improve your pitch. I bet it's fantastic now. You can pitch us, anybody listening, and they can call you, Amelia.
Yes, my favorite pitch, and I'll go back to your question, but my favorite pitch is like, hey, if you're looking for tax losses, I am your girl. Because in this business, we will never turn a profit. We will be negative EBITDA until I sell this company. So if you're looking for a place to put your gains against losses, hit me up. It's not for everyone. A CPG company or even a liquor beverage company, it is very risky. It's not for everyone. A majority of my investors are actually oil and gas guys because they're true wildcatters. They're used to taking risks. And I'm so appreciative for them for taking a risk on us. Initially, I didn't have a distributor. I didn't have products on the market. And so my initial investors really took the biggest risk because I was telling them, hey guys, no, I promise I'm going to get a distributor. I'm going to get my products to market. Please give me your money. And so they went on that ride with me. And even when I didn't hit the goals I wanted for myself year one, I went back to them and said, I am so sorry. I told you guys I was going to hit X. I didn't. And I feel really bad about that. 100% of them said to me, all of them said, what are you talking about? We gave you our money and you didn't even have a distributor. Like, you've done so well with what we've given you. We're so proud of you. So I know my initial investors are pleased. And so when I hear no now, I'm at a new level of investment and it's more kind of the funds and they think they know everything about my business. And it may be the first time they've ever looked at a company like mine. And so I just have to take it with a grain of salt. There's plenty of money out there. I just have to keep looking for it.
And that's a great attitude. While we're on the topic of money, are there any tips or suggestions you'd you'd have for women who may be fundraising for their businesses right now? I mean, what maybe two takeaways on what would help them?
Even when I hear no, I say, do you know anybody that might be interested in this opportunity? So even when I'm getting a no from somebody, I use it as a way to get a connection to somebody else. And that's what I would say is the biggest help is even when people aren't going to do it, they may know somebody. And so it's worth asking. My other tip is to just keep going. So going back to my friend and what he said, just keep going.
Just keep going. And so you touched on mentors in the industry. You knew people from your background at the private equity firm, and I imagine at 7-Eleven as well. You said you reached out to them. Were they encouraging? How have they helped you in this process?
Originally reached out to them. It was more of like, hey, this is what I want to do. Who in the industry do I need to talk to about getting it done? From the operations side, I knew I needed a co-packer. So I was looking more for intros. One of my good dear friends, her name is Marissa Bertha. She used to run 7-Eleven's venture fund, and now she is off with a CPG brand. She's incredible. She's an expert in the field. And I went to her and I said, hey, do you know anybody that's doing this that I can talk to? And she put me in touch with a guy who helped start Core Water.
Yeah, I know Core Water. And actually, that's the first water, Amelia, that I can remember seeing a pH level written on the side of the water bottle. There may have been others before then, but that one caught my eye. The packaging, just everything about it. What was it like talking to him when he had so much commonality with you and where you were at that time in your business?
I talked to him and I mean, it was a great conversation. He basically told me all the things. He's like, here's what you're going to run into. Here's what the CPG business looks like, getting shelf space, everything that could go wrong or be bad about the industry. But at the end, he said, I just told you that stuff because you need to have your eyes wide open. I by no means am trying to discourage you from doing this. I don't want you to stop. You need to do this. I just want you to have your expectations set. And that was really helpful too, because, as the conversation was going on, oh God, what am I getting myself into? This sounds terrible. But having his blessing was more meaningful than anything, really.
Have you stayed in touch with him?
I have not talked to him. I probably should try to reach out to him because it was so helpful.
I think that honest advice and setting the expectation always puts us at ease and helps us understand what's next and how to handle things when it isn't going the way we thought it was going to go, which happens all the time. Well, so you're also the voice of your brand. That's a whole nother project for you and a full-time job. You're also creating the vision for the brand as well. So what has that been like for you?
That is a work in progress. I am a finance person. Like I said, I'm not a marketing person. And so I've had to hire some really great people to help me with the marketing aspect. I always say I'm smart enough to know that I'm not smart enough to know everything. And so I'm hiring these experts. I'm looking for their opinions too. And so as we're figuring out what the voice of our brand is, how we want to be stationed in the market, I wouldn't be able to do that without having these great team members helping me because this is my weak spot.
It's always good to know your weaknesses. You found the segment and the industry that you're really great at. And clearly, you got this entire company off the ground. You had the experience with you. Some of those pieces we just have to plug in along the way. Did you start asking around for that marketing firm as well and for these team members? It sounds like you don't hesitate to ask.
Yes, I have a group that runs my social media and strategy. They explore more of our greater brand partnerships, and they were referred to me by a friend. My branding company, who does all of our boxes, our cans, all of the design down to our logo. I actually found them because I knew I needed a great firm to help. And I was walking through Target one day and I saw this sparkling water Spindrift, and I loved their boxes. And I figured out who was doing their branding, and I called him and I said, hey, I love what you've done for Spindrift. And I explained what I wanted to do with Range 2.0. And I was like, I'd love for you guys to help. What do you charge? And they told me what they charged. And I said, oh my gosh, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. But there's no way I could afford that. This was back when I was self-funding. And I said, but I would really love to work with you guys one day because everything that you're putting out is just so cool. And they called me back a week later, one of the partner I talked to, and he said, hey, I was talking to my business partner about our conversation, and he's from Texas. And he loves range waters. He loves your idea. Would you be willing to give us some equity if we reduce our fee for you? And I was like, well, let's talk about it.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so this was still early on. And I said, I was just very upfront. Hey, I don't know what the value of my company is today, but I will have to fundraise. And so if you're willing to kick this can down the road, that value that you're reducing your fee by, will you convert that at the same equity as all of my other investors? And they said, yeah. And so it's been this great, wonderful partnership, and I love them, and they're so good. And they really do help build out the brand from the imaging side for us.
I'm curious, how does the corporate culture that you're used to vary from what Ranch 2.0 is now? Because I imagine it's a world apart and it's probably evolving and it is new to you.
It's so different. It's hard to compare because as a beverage company, my organization, particularly like my staff, my sales teams, they're out in the fields every day. We don't have an office. And so it's totally different. Corporately, I had to be in the office by 8:30 and I couldn't leave till 6. I've tried to give them the freedom, and especially in this industry, I get it. Liquor stores don't open till 10. You don't need to be on the clock at 8 a.m. That's silly. And you may have to work some events late at night. Okay, cool. Don't start your day till noon the next day. So I've tried to give a lot of flexibility just because that's what the industry requires. I'm constantly thinking about the culture of our company and how to do it better. I don't have the best answer because I don't think I've really figured out the right formula for that.
It seems to evolve though, doesn't it? You're doing the best thing for your company as of now. And then that might look completely different in 6 months or a year or 5 years.
I think as a woman, I kind of used to go into things thinking, I don't want to offend people. I don't want to ask people to do more than they should. I need to make all of these allowances for my staff. And my husband said to me, what are you talking about? When you were 26 years old, you were working 100 hours a week, flying all over the country. Why can't these people put in that same time if they need to learn? That's how you got to where you are. And I think that's that male perspective of like, why are you treating these staff like children almost, like they need to be coddled? And so I'm trying to balance his advice with the needs of the company. And ultimately, I think that just boils down to I need to be more straightforward with my expectations. And here's what pisses me off, and here's what really pleases me. And if you know those two guardrails, you can operate in between them.
You also have to mix in the market and who you will be able to hire for your team and what people are looking for now and how they want to work, and designing that a bit for them. Things have probably shifted since you were 26 and working 100 hours a week.
Yes. And I just can't compare to this industry. The liquor industry is so unique, and it's okay to drink on the job. Whereas in private equity, no way, Jose. I'm constantly looking inward at how I'm handling things. And we have a great team call every week where we share our wins for the week, which I think is so important because there's a lot of times that we can talk about what went wrong. But I like to talk about what went right too and recognize the staff for that. I know you guys are working hard, and let's celebrate some of these small wins along the way.
That's a really positive way to encourage camaraderie from a leadership perspective. Something I practice in my own companies, especially as we operate in these virtual environments. You've had so much growth in your company and on your journey as a business owner. What is the big picture for your company in the next few years?
I'm a private equity girl at heart. And so my goal was always to build the company and sell it to a strategic as quickly as I could. My runway was 5 to 7 years, and I think that we can still hit it in that timeline. Obviously, this is an emerging segment of the market, and now I'm competing with major brands. Crown Royal came out with a whiskey in a can. Other of our competitors are coming out with competitive products, and they've already got their brand name built. So it's a little bit of an uphill battle, but luckily we were one of the first to market, and so we have a foothold. I would love to sell the company in the next couple of years. That's really our goal.
Right. To take the company to new heights and to do
Yes.
different things with
Yeah.
it. Absolutely. Rangewater, it's interesting because before you sell it, by the way, just know that everyone around Dallas, especially, is drinking your beverage.
I ran into it initially because I noticed that you had real tequila in it and it caught my eye. It looked refreshing and I love ranch waters. I mean, this is perfect for me to try. You have friends over, you're doing so many things, and who has the time to make a fresh cocktail these days? And so that's how I actually found your company and learned about you. And I'm so glad I did.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm always so glad when people try our products, and it still catches me off guard when I'll have people say, hey, I tried your stuff. I loved it. I'm like, wait, my stuff? You tried Range 2.0? Are you sure it was me? And it's always a huge compliment because we don't have that brand recognition that the majors do. But when I created this, my number one goal, which I told my husband, was I wanted to be a drink that our friends drink not when we're around. I didn't want our friends to feel like they had to drink it because we were there. And that was my goal, is put good liquid in a can. You don't have to use cheap ingredients. And you don't have to drink a seltzer that's a beer or wine base. You can have true spirits, premium spirits in a can and make it worthwhile for people.
I'm curious, do you have a strategic partner with the tequila piece? Because everyone is talking about tequila and drinking
Yes.
tequila.
Yes, I get this question all the time. I do not share who our tequila is. That is a trade secret that I love to keep, and I will share that with our strategic company when we sell. But I love to have people try to guess which tequila it is. So if you have any guesses, I'd love to hear. But otherwise, my staff, I don't even tell my staff. My husband probably knows because he helped me select it, but he's forgotten at this point the exact brand. So
It's probably an interesting balance. I'm thinking in my mind. So the one I would normally, if I'm not drinking one of your premix, would be like just a Blanco, like Avion or Casamigos, or just something like that is what I'm drinking. But yours is very clean and clearly high quality. And I'm sure you have to balance that price point with it as well.
Oh yeah, the price point. My tequila is my most expensive ingredient.
I bet it is.
But it's, you gotta have that good tequila. And it's a premium Blanco tequila because that's the way traditional ranch water was made. We tried to stay as true to the product as we can. And it's really showing off because when I first started, my goal was, let's get this out at golf courses, hotel grab and go section, event venues. I didn't see it fitting in bars and restaurants because they're hand pouring their cocktails. But what's happened is that we've started getting calls from restaurant owners saying, hey, we tried your stuff. Can you come in and tell us more about your brand? And they will have their head bartender make our drink right there on the spot and do a tasting. And the feedback is always, hell, you guys taste just as good. And it took us 2 seconds to open your can. It took my bartender a full minute and a half to make that drink. I'm like, I know, right? I really wanted a true cocktail experience in a can. And there's no aftertaste like you get with typical canned cocktails, and there's no artificial flavor. And that just goes back to that 10 months of formulation.
I'm also thinking for a restaurant, quality control, how much also they're pouring, inventory. There's a lot mixed into that making sure that consistent price point is there for them every time they're serving something.
Yes, and the consistency is the biggest piece of it. And for those who are listening that don't know, a ranch water is Texas's version of a skinny margarita. It's tequila, soda water, and lime. And it's weird because some people, for as easy of a cocktail that it is to make, it can go so wrong. There's a great restaurant here in Dallas that my husband and I go to all the time, and their ranch water could not be any more forward. And it's a nice upscale restaurant. And so I can't figure out why they can't get it right. But what's great is that I know when I see our products, it tastes the exact same every time. And I never have to feel like I wish I would have gotten a glass of wine instead.
Well, and on that note, let's talk about your mentor moment, because you've shared so much with us about your company and your vision for it, and clearly dedication to quality and to what you're working on. So, with the mentorship that you've had in the industry, what is that mentor moment that you'd want to share with women listening today?
I would say have the belief in yourself and know that you're going to need the grit to get it done. A guy I used to work for at 7-Eleven, he used to always tell me the squeaky wheel gets the grease, because I was always the squeaky wheel. And so I would just say, you can't shrink away. You have to push back, and you have to have that belief in your brand, in your product, in yourself to get it done. There's lots of times I hurt people's feelings, and it's a bummer, but I kind of am like, this is not personal. This is all business.
That's hard to believe because you have such a sweet demeanor about yourself. It's that, hey, I'm going to be very direct, but I'm going to say it in my very sweet voice. Just get what I'm saying.
Yeah, and what's nice is that I'm with the largest distributor in the nation, and I can call the head of Southern Glazers, Texas, or the general manager of Southern Glazers, Texas, and they will pick up the phone for me. Or I can ask them to go to lunch, and they will make the time to do that for me. And as a small brand, that's a big deal. And I've asked them directly, why did you come to lunch with me? I know you guys are busy. And they've said, hey, we see what you're doing in the market. You are very atypical for an entrepreneur in the spirits industry. And we see the hard work you're putting in, and we want you to know that our time is worth it to spend that with you. And that's a big compliment to get.
It's a huge compliment, and especially for all kind of reasons, for having such a new company, for entering the market. And imagine how many brands they see every day coming to them, and the fact that they're spending time with you and supporting you, that has to feel really good.
Yeah, it's nice. I read a report, like the industry report, and one of them was talking about how Southern Glazers gets 200 to 300 new products a month to review. And I was like, oh my God. Listen, I was persistent as all get out. I needed a distributor. It was at a time when, like I said, there was nothing else like it. I knew Southern Glazers didn't have anything like our brand. And so I was adamant that they were going to pick me up. We had sample cans, but I didn't have my labels on them yet. And I had to submit it to Southern Glazers. And so I thought, well, I'll just submit these normal cans unlabeled and just pray that they try them. And I sent an email a couple of days later that said, hey, I sent these cans to you. They don't have the labels on them, but I'm getting my labels put on the cans next week, and I will send you a fresh batch as soon as I get that done. And the head of acquisitions said, I'll never forget it. He said, yeah, it was a little jarring to open up that box and you want us to pick up your brand and there's no label on it. And I was like, excellent. You will remember me forever.
That's a great way to stand apart. I love that. And for listening to your story, I know that you believe in having the grit to keep going. We like to ask our guests to send out a text to their closest friends and ask some positive things that describe you. And you sent us some really lovely words. Would you like to share some of those with us today?
I see myself so differently. And so I was really surprised with what came back.
I'll read one for you. How about that? Because I have them right here, and this was my favorite. I think these words are so important as we surround ourselves with people, and some days we don't feel that way about ourselves. So I love hearing these. And so Amelia has both grace and grit. She is dependable and thoughtful friend who is not deterred by setbacks or hard moments. She's always ready to celebrate her friends with a cocktail and a kind word. Her determination to forge a new business in the middle of a global pandemic and supply chain crisis was inspiring and yet not at all surprising. This is who my friend Amelia is. I can't wait to see what she does next. Aw, I love that one. It's nice to see that you have some wonderful friends and women and industry partners and people around you that are supporting you, Amelia.
Yeah, it's nice.
It really is. That's really great. Where can everyone find you, find your ranch water, find your company? How can we find you?
Yeah, this is a great question. So in Texas, specifically, you are only allowed to buy liquor in liquor stores. And so our products can only be sold in liquor stores. We're at all the majors: Specs, Total Wine, Twins, Seagulls, Goody Goody, a lot of, obviously a lot of independents across Texas as well. There's a bunch of those. In other states, we are able to be sold in grocery stores. We just launched in California, and 7-Eleven has made us a recommended item.
Congratulations.
Yes, we're very excited about that. And we're headed to launch in Illinois soon. We'll be able to be sold in convenience stores and grocery stores there as well. But I do get asked a lot. And what I always say is, on our website, we have a Find Us feature. If you click on it, it'll pull up a map of all of our stores, and you can type in your zip code or your city, and it will show you all of the liquor stores or all of the places carrying our products so that you can go to your closest one. And if you happen to go into a liquor store and they don't have Ranch 2.0, I would love for you to ask them to bring us in. The liquor store owners want to know that what they're buying and bringing in is going to get purchased by their consumers, by their customers. And so that's the best way for us to get into new locations, is if you're a regular, go and ask them to pull us in.
Yeah, that's a great way to support you. I hope everyone heard that. It's good advice, because as the business owner, that liquor store, they don't want to stock up on a bunch of stuff they don't know if anyone's going to purchase. So They want to hear from us. Great advice. Amelia, thank you for joining us on Working Women Mentor. It's really been a pleasure talking with you.
Yes, thank you so much for reaching out, and what an honor.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. I hope you'll walk away feeling inspired and are thinking of how a mentor moment can help you or someone you know. In case you haven't hit the follow button to subscribe to this show, please do so. And if you love the episode, I'd really appreciate a review. You see, this review helps Apple or Spotify or whatever platform you're listening to us on know that other women just like you want to learn about the show, and it'll help us spread the word. Let's connect on Instagram at Working Women Mentor or at Rani Alfers. You can find all episodes online at ranialfers.com/podcast, and the ability to send an audiogram of your favorite mentor moments. And we respond to everyone. I truly can't wait to hear from you. Check back weekly for new episodes, and cheers until the next episode.